Just someone let me know if you are able to see my screen. Okay, so we'll be starting our HTML and CSS lesson. So basically, as I told you yesterday, right? DBMS and HTML CSS, this would be covering up your maximum marks in your final exam. DBMS, which is like around 17 marks, and then HTML CSS combined with part 1, part 2, and part 3, it would cover like around 16 marks. So this would be like around 30 plus marks in your exam, and this is very much important from your exam point of view. Okay, so we'll start this lesson. Here, if you see in this chapter, you will learn all the common HTML tags used to structure the HTML pages, the skeleton of all websites. HTML lets you format text, add graphics, create links, input forms, frames, tables, etc., and save it all in a text file that any browser can read and display. You will also learn how to style an HTML document using CSS. So basically, HTML will give you a structure of your web page. So say you have the website, right? Any website's structure is given by HTML and design is given by CSS. So this is the basic thing, and you can do a lot of thing in the website, like you can add text, you can add graphics, you can create links, you can allow the user to enter some value in the form of forms. There would be frames, tables, etc. Okay, you can do all these things within the HTML. So basically, to give you a structure of the page, say you can imagine it like you are building a home. So in order to build a home, you need bricks, right? And you need sand. So all those elements which provides a overall structure to building your home, that you can imagine it as like HTML. And once your home is ready, you need to do the coloring, right? Or you need to add some kind of design. You will add some flowers over there, here and there. You will build like a garden and all. So all those design elements will come and controlled by the CSS in a web page. So HTML is like you are giving a structure to a building. CSS is like you are putting some design or color to that already existing building. Okay, you can imagine that way. So we'll see what are the different elements that we cover in this lesson. So web programming, also known as web development. Web programming, also known as web development, is the creation of dynamic web application. Examples of web applications are social networking sites like Facebook or e-commerce sites like Amazon. So what is web programming? Web programming, also known as web development, it is the creation of dynamic web application. Now why it is dynamic? Okay, so it is dynamic. There are two things. One is called as static, another is called as dynamic. Static is like you have a web page that you can just scroll and then you can click one link and then it will go to the another. Okay, that is like static. But what is dynamic? Dynamic is like you can add like reactions to it. You can interact with the web page. So that element is called as dynamic. Okay, so dynamic, you can imagine it as like you are putting a story in your Facebook timeline, okay, and someone is reacting over that. That is called dynamic, because there you are interacting with your web page. But you might have seen few other applications like Facebook or any e-commerce applications like Amazon. These are like dynamic web applications. Why it is dynamic? Because there you are interacting with the website. Okay, now a few other website you might have seen, right? Like where you are just like news kind of website, where you are going to the news application, and then you are just seeing what is the headline, what is the story of that news. All these are the example of static web applications. Okay. So this is the thing. Then there are two broad applications of web development. One is front end development, also known as client side development, and back end development, also known as server side development. Okay, so these are the two broad division of web development. What are those? One is front end development and the another is back end development. Okay, now what is front end development? Say front end development is whatever a user see whenever he is opening a website. Okay, so that is called as front end development. And back end development is, so any website, say you are opening a website that gives the result of your SSLC board exam. Okay, you are going to that website, you are seeing that website, and then you see a like one element where you are entering your roll number and then click result. So whatever a user see, or whatever the user or you as a user will see in a web page, that is known as client side development. Like building that small box where you enter your roll number, or putting that result element into that web page, that is called client side development. Okay, and what is backend development? The moment you click on that result, it will then search in the database. Okay, it will then search in the database what is your roll number and what are the marks that you have given got against each of the subject, and then it will return that result to the UI or the web page. So that development is known as backend development. Okay, also known as server side development. So the moment you click on result, and then it will check on the database, fetch the result, and then provide it to the client side or provide it to the user. That development, after you click on that submit button and the time at which it return the result to the end user, that development is known as backend development. But building the website to show only the UI element or the elements where you are entering the roll number or submit button, that is known as client side development. So these are the two broad divisions of web development. Okay, front end development refers to constructing what a user sees when they load a web application, the content, design, and how you interact with it. This is done using three codes: HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Now all these elements, earlier I have told you HTML and CSS, right? HTML means providing the structure, CSS is to give the design to that structure. Like HTML is building your home, giving it a structure in the form of bricks or sand, everything, and CSS is providing the color. Now JavaScript is that part where the user enters the roll, it will take that roll number, go into the database, and then it will return you the result. Okay, that part is provided by the JavaScript. So this entire thing is done using the front end development. Okay, HTML, short for hypertext markup language, is special code for marking of text in order to return it to the web page. Every web page on the net is written in HTML, and it will form the backbone of any web application. Any website that you see in the internet, it will obviously have HTML in it. Okay, without HTML any website cannot exist. Okay, so and marking up, what do you mean by marking up? Marking up is like adding some special text to that HTML element so that you can make that text in a present text in a different way to the end user. That is called as marking up text. Okay, now we will see what are the different markups that you can use in our coming part as well. Now CSS, short for cascading style sheet. So its full form is, HTML refers to hypertext markup language. Its full form is hypertext markup language. CSS full form is cascading style sets. Is a code for setting styles, rule for the appearance of the web page. Now it is telling about the rules or the setting the style, that is giving some kind of design to it. Now CSS handles the cosmetic side of the web. Cosmetic, always if you see the cosmetic, it will always be related to your design part. Okay, So that is the thing it is telling. CSS styles stands for cascading style set. JavaScript is a scripting language that's widely used to add functionality and interactivity to the web page. So JavaScript is another language. What is that JavaScript does? It adds some functionality or interactivity to the web pages. Okay, so it will interact with the user. Say uh, whenever you are going to the web page, you might have seen whenever you hover over the text or you click on that text, it will give some kind of result. Okay, so that is like adding some kind of functionality to the web page, and that part is done by the JavaScript. So these are the three broad categories where the front end development happens. One is HTML, another is CSS, and the third is JavaScript. Okay, moving on to the next. What is HTML? HTML stands for hypertext markup language, and it is mostly widely used language to write web pages. Each word in HTML has its own significance as explained below. So it is breaking down what does this hypertext markup language means. Okay, hyper signifies that user can view worldwide web pages by moving anywhere in any direction. So hyper means a user can view the worldwide web pages or www pages. Like if I see this website, okay, and I will go here, so this part www, okay, so this part is called as hyper, because hyper means it will be accessible to anyone. So if you are opening this website, it would be accessible to you or anyone who is having an internet connection, so he would be able to view or move around that page. So this is known as hyper. Text is anything written in English or alphanumeric character. Okay, so text means whatever is the content of that website, so that is known as the text. Say if you are opening any news website, there would be some text like headline and the storyline, so that part is text. Markup is what HTML tags do to the text inside of them. They mark it as a specific type of text. Okay, so you might have seen, okay, if you see this one, this is written in bold, but other characters are written in a normal way. So whatever the element, say this markup, within this markup you would add some HTML element and it will make it as bold. Okay, this part is known as, wherever you are making this text as bold, you need to write HTML element, and that is known as markup. Okay, you are marking up that text. Language is a language that a computer system understands and uses to interpret command. Okay, language is nothing but whatever the computer system understand. So you are writing some bold element, you are writing some italic element, or writing some underline element, that is some language that you are writing, right? That part is known as language. Okay, so this is the definition of hypertext markup language in a breakdown way. Now HTML code includes two kinds of text. One is content, another is markup. Content is the information to be displayed on the screen like text, pictures, audio, video, etc. Markup is the information inserted in the HTML script to control the display. Now you have these things written. Okay, say imagine this is a PDF, but imagine this is a web page. Okay, now this content is written, right? And there would be some element or the markup that we have added in this content. So the same thing it is telling, HTML code includes two kind of text. One text is content, another text is markup. Okay, so content is whatever the information that you are providing. So this is also one information that you are providing, or these are some informations that you are providing, and it can be a text, it can be a picture, it can be audio, video, etc. And what do you mean by markup? Markup is the information inserted in the HTML script to control the display. Now you have added some bold HTML element in this markup, so this part is known as markup. So these are the two kinds of text that you can enter in the HTML code. So far I just wanted to know if you guys are having any confusions or any doubts. You can ask me right away. I will just check in the chat. No one is having any question. Just let me know, like, if I am going little fast, I can slow it down as well. Okay, so I think we can continue. Now the another part is why HTML. HTML is very useful for students and working professionals to become a great software engineer, especially when they are working in web development. Okay, some of the key advantages of learning HTML are, so HTML, it is a language that is used by students or working professional to become a software engineer. So in a software engineering field, if you are going in the web development, you can go either in front end development or back end development. So front end development is like building that whatever the user is seeing. Back end development is like interacting with that web page and giving some result from the server. So there are two broad types of HTML development, web development basically. So here are some key advantages of learning HTML. One is create website. You can create a website or customize an existing web template if you know HTML well. So one advantage, these are few of the advantages. One is like creating a website. You can create your own website, or you can create a website for your specific need. Another is become a web designer. So if you want to start a career as a professional web designer, HTML and CSS designing is a must skill. If you are going in the field of web designing, then you need to know HTML and CSS. Okay, so this point is about becoming a web designer. Another was creating a website. Understand web. If you want to optimize your website to boost its speed and performance, it is good to know HTML to yield better result. So some of the website you might have seen, it is like performing in a poor way. Whenever you are going to that website, it is loading. Okay, so and optimization means to add some functionality or to optimize your code in such a way that its speed and performance are given in an optimal way. Okay, this point is basically about understanding the web. So just as a student or anyone who is curious to know about the web designing field, you need to have a basic understanding of HTML, so that you know like how the things work under the background. Okay, learn other language. Once you understand the basic of HTML, then other related technologies like JavaScript, PHP, etc. are becoming easier to understand. So HTML is like basic foundation for any other language. There are lots of other languages, like you have JavaScript, PHP, then you have Perl, then you have Go language. There are lots of other Python, lots of other languages are there. So if you want to have a foundation of other languages as well, so HTML is the first step that you need to know. Okay, so these are some like key advantages of learning HTML. One is creating website, another is becoming a web designer, understanding the web, and learning other languages. Thus we can say HTML is a set of logical codes or texts that are used to define the web browser, how to present the information in a web page. And this you already know. HTML is a platform independent language. It is not a programming language like C, C++ or Java. It is a set of markup texts that tell the browser how to display the web page content. Now if you see here, this is one important point. It is telling like HTML is a platform independent language. Now what do you mean by platform independent? Platform independence means now we are, so this is a Mac ecosystem, right? And there would be some Windows ecosystem, or there would be Linux ecosystem. So whenever you are opening this website would be shown in a similar way in Mac, in Windows, in Linux, everywhere. Okay, so that is the meaning of platform independent language. That means if you are moving from one platform to another platform, the HTML will not change, or the design or the elements of that web pages will not change. Okay, that is the meaning of platform independent. And it is not a programming language like C, C++ or Java. It is not like this language where you are finding, like you would have seen in C programming, right? How to find the factorial of a number. So that part is not done by HTML. That is the different part. Okay, what HTML does, HTML is used for displaying the content of a web page. Okay, so that is the difference between HTML and other languages, other programming languages. Some popular markup languages are DHTML, Dynamic Hypertext Markup Language, SGML, Standard Generalized Markup Languages, XHTML, Extended HTML, XML, Extensible Markup Languages. So these are also few other examples of markup languages. Like how we used to write the HTML text. Okay. So in a similar fashion, each of these languages are having their own syntax. The syntax will change. Okay, and all of these languages have their own specific purposes. You can just remember the definition of these things from an exam perspective, but this will not cover up anywhere in your classes. Now this is some history of HTML. Tim Berners-Lee is known as the father of HTML. The first available description of HTML document was a document called HTML text proposed by Tim in the late 1991. The latest version of HTML is HTML5. Okay, so this part you might get 1 mark question. Who is the father of HTML? Tim Berners-Lee. First available description of HTML document was HTML tag proposed by Tim in 1991. He proposed this one. And the latest version of HTML is HTML5. I think this version might have changed now, but here it is written as HTML5. Okay, because every year or every upgrade would upgrade this version. So some other version is going on now. Features of HTML. These are some features of HTML. It is very easy and simple language. It is easily understood and modified. This is very straightforward point. It is very easy to make an effective presentation with HTML because it is a lot of formatting text. You can prepare the presentation as well with HTML. It is a markup language, so it provides a flexible way to design web pages along with the text. So you can add some element or the markup to the HTML. So this is also another point of feature of HTML. It facilitates programmers to add a link on the web pages by HTML anchor tag so that it enhances the interest of browsing of that user. You can add a link as well, right? So you might have seen when you click on one particular link, then you will go to some other web pages within that single web page. So basically that adding of that link is also done by HTML. So this is also one feature of HTML. It is a platform independent language because it can be displayed on any platforms like Windows, Linux and Mac. So this point we have already seen just before. It is a platform independent language. It facilitates the programmer to add graphics, video, sound to web pages, which makes it more attractive and interactive. Okay. Now in addition to the text, you can add graphics as well. You can add video, sound using HTML. So all this functionality are provided by HTML. HTML is case insensitive language, which means we can use text either in lowercase or uppercase. So if you see here, it is written as case insensitive language. That means you can use text either in lowercase or uppercase. So if you see in this page itself, right, these are uppercase element and these are lowercase elements. So this functionality also is provided by or this is the feature of HTML language. So these are some of the features of HTML. You can also check it from your end. Maybe 2-3 points or 4 points you can understand. These are very straightforward points. HTML editors, 2 types of editors are used. One is WYSIWYG and another is text editor. Okay. Now these are the definition of these 2 points. One is WYSIWYG editor. What you see is what you get. So WYSIWYG means what you see is what you get. Whatever the user is seeing, the user is getting the same thing. So this is one kind of editor. Okay, this editor allows the developer to see what the end result will look after the document is created. So what does this mean? This means that whatever you are seeing, okay, the same thing that you are getting, so it will have some functionality. You can just drag and drop and then test that functionality in that moment you are doing that thing. Okay, so some these are some of the editors: Adobe Dreamweaver, Amaya, Google Web Designer. So all these things will have certain elements. You can just drag that, set text. There would be some text thing. You will just drag that text and then you write something over there and you will see the text. You will have some bold element, you drag and then drop there, and then that element will become bold. So this kind of editors are known as WYSIWYG editor, which means whatever you are seeing is the same thing that you are getting it. Another is the text editor. You can create HTML document using text editors like Notepad or WordPad. The user should have the proper knowledge of HTML commands to develop a web page. So text editor means you would have Notepad, right? In the Notepad, you would be writing something. Now this is something a user needs to create from the scratch. You don't have that drag and drop functionality or the WYSIWYG kind of functionality. Text editors means you need to write it from the scratch. Like if you go to your Notepad or WordPad, you will have a blank sheet. Like it's like you are buying a classmate like copy, and you need to write your own script or you need to write your own HTML. So that classmate copy which is having blank pages, that kind of things are known as text editors in your like HTML editors language. Okay, so these are two modes. One is WYSIWYG editor, another is the text editor. Moving on to the next part, building blocks of HTML. An HTML document consists of its building block, which are tag, attributes, and then the element. Now what is tags? These are some of the building block. Okay, one is tags. An HTML tag surrounds the content and applying meaning to it. It is written because this and this bracket. Now I was telling about the bold or the italic or what is that, underline kind of thing. So these things that you are seeing, right, and within that this bracket you are writing something. So these things are known as tags in HTML language. Okay, now an attribute in HTML provides extra information about the element and it is applied with the start tag. An HTML attribute contains two fields. One is the name and another is the value. Okay, now attribute, what are these attributes? These attributes will provide some extra element about that element. Okay, it will give you some extra information of that element. So if it is bold, for which element it is going to be bold. So these things are controlled by attribute. Now element, an HTML element is an individual component of an HTML file. In an HTML file, everything written within the text are termed as HTML element. Now whenever these things are known as tag, right? Now you are writing B or you are writing I or you are writing U. So what things will do? B means you will make it as bold, I will make it as italic, you will make it as underline. So these things are whatever the things that you are writing within these tags, this thing is known as element. Okay, it is told right here. Everything written within tags are termed as HTML element. Okay, so these are the building blocks of HTML.
Excuse me, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Sir, sir, every website does HTML what?
Sorry.
In every website does HTML what?
Yes, in every
Sir,
website, for all the
sir,
website.
sir, sir, if I want to start a website, I want to create a website, then I should move on first HTML. I should first gain the HTML, then only I can start it other thing. Or what?
Exactly, yes, yes. So,
Sir,
yeah, go
yes, sir.
ahead.
Sir, you say that Amazon or Flipkart, these all are websites, isn't it?
Yes, correct.
Sir, whenever we they like sale, the sale is live, or they are reducing the price by
Mm-hmm.
cutting the value of that original price,
Mm-hmm.
all they done by HTML.
Yes. Basically, Amazon has lot of other components including HTML. Okay. But the basic building or the basic foundation of all the websites will
Hmm.
have HTML. So a website cannot exist without an HTML. Okay. So if you are telling about Amazon, right? That is a valid
Hmm.
question and it is a good question as well. That you are telling that prices of the website, or like if currently you are having the Flipkart's
Yes,
Big
sir.
Billion Day, or the
Yes.
uh, there would be from the Amazons, you would have some other offers that are
Sale.
going on, sales going on, correct? All these things,
Hmm.
Amazon, Flipkart, Mintra, or Nika, everything would be powered by HTML only. But these are very huge websites, so
Hmm.
yeah, learning only HTML will not work. But definitely, all the website will have HTML to it. Okay, because
Hmm.
if you
Okay.
talk about the Amazon website or the Flipkart website, there would be a pool of engineers that are sitting behind it who are working day
Hmm.
and night in order to make those things work. Okay, so in addition to HTML, there are other things as well. Like there would be React, there would be Node.js, or the Amazon web server they would be using in the backend. So there would be
Hmm.
multiple elements, and there would be special categories or the skill set of people who knows these things and how to make it work. But definitely, all the websites that are present in the internet would have HTML to it. Okay.
Yes.
Sure. Any other people who are having doubts? Okay. So I think we can move forward. HTML tags. HTML tags are like keywords which define that how web browser will format and display the content. With the help of tags, a web browser can distinguish between HTML content and a simple content. HTML tags contain three part: opening tag, content, and then the closing tag. But some HTML tags are unclosed tags. The text of opening and closing text is the same, but the closing text contains the forward slash character. Now, text, you already know this tag, right? Like, I would be starting with this bold, italics, and then the underline. So, you can imagine this tag. This is a tag, and it contains, here it is telling, it contains three part. One is opening tag. So, you would open the bracket, you will write B, and then you will close that tag. So it is telling these tags are containing three main part. One is opening tag, another is the content, and the final one is closing tag. Okay, and then there it's something like some of the tags are unclosed tags. So there would be some kind of text, like if you see line break, you are going from this line to another line. So those kind of tags are unclosed tags. Okay, it will only have this kind of slash kind of character, forward slash kind of character. and there would be like B or something written. We will see all these things in our like in below when we are covering up this HTML tags in a detailed way. When a web browser reads an HTML document, browser reads it from top to bottom and left to right. HTML tags are used to create HTML document and render their properties. Each HTML tags have different properties. So whenever a web browser is reading an HTML document, right? So you have created a HTML document. Imagine you have created a HTML document. Whenever you give this HTML your file to a web browser like Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge, what will happen at that time? That browser will read it from top to bottom. So you would have some content in the header. Say imagine you are having a news website, you have written some news website, and then you have given that document to your web browser like the Google Chrome. Okay, what the browser will do, browser will read from top to bottom. Okay, initially you might have given some thing like what is the headline, and below that you would have given the content. In the similar fashion, a web browser will read it from top to bottom. And HTML tags are used to create HTML document and render their properties. Rendering means you are presenting that thing to the web browser. Okay, and each HTML tags have different properties. Each of the tag, like say B is having one functionality. Italics, if you are doing italics, you would have another functionality. If you are doing underline, it is having different property, and that thing is defined by the user. You as a user is the owner of that HTML document, and you are telling the browser how to present this document whenever someone is coming and visiting my website. Okay, so for that to happen, you need to write HTML tags, and each of these tags have different properties. Okay, this is the thing it is trying to tell. An HTML file must have some essential text so that the web browser can differentiate between a simple text and HTML text. You can use as many texts as you want as per your code requirement. So there is no limit to how many texts that you are using in HTML document. You can use as many tags as you want. Okay. Now all HTML tags must enclosed within these brackets. Each tag in HTML perform different tasks. If you have an opening tag, then you must have a closing tag, except some tags. So if you see here, this is an opening tag, right? And this is the content, and this is the closing tag. Now when you say for example you are writing syntax, now where you will write this syntax will go to the content part, and there would be, now you want to make this syntax as bold, or you want to make this italic. At that time you will write opening tag within this bracket, say B, and then you will write syntax, and then you will add a closing tag. So this is the kind of syntax that you have. And here there are certain exceptions to the tag as well. In some of the things in some of the tags you don't need to write this opening tag, you just need to write the closing tag. Okay, this is the syntax it is telling. HTML tags can be categorized as container tag. These tags come in pairs, that is they have both opening and closing tag. A tag is said to be paired if it is along with a closing tag appears at the end. Now say HTML is also one tag. What does this HTML tag do? It will tell that whatever the content that you are writing, okay, say you are writing a news website, or you are writing your own personal portfolio website. At that time you need to tell to the browser that this tag is this document is an HTML document. For that part, what you will do, you will start your document with HTML tag. Okay, and then the browser will understand. Whenever you write HTML in this way, browser will understand that this document is HTML document, and inside that HTML document there would be body. Okay, so all this, I think this would be explained below as well. So body is used for defining the content of your HTML document. Okay, so for this purpose you need to understand this kind of tags are known as container tag, which will have opening tag as well as the closing tag. Okay, there are other kind of tags also known as empty tags. It is also called singular tag. This type of text doesn't have a closing tag. Example, this one. So now if you see, what is the difference between these two? The difference between these two are, this is having a pair. HTML is having a pair. Body is also having a pair. This kind of tags are known as container tag, and these are also tags. But here we have read, right? Here we have read that some of the tags would might not have this closing tag, except some tags. These are some exceptionals. Okay, so these kind of tags are known as empty tags. It doesn't have a closing tag, so this part is missing. Now if you see here, we don't write br and then you do this forward slash. Okay, these kind of tags are known as empty tags. So these are the broad categories of HTML tags. Nesting of tag. HTML elements can be nested, meaning that one element can be placed inside another element. Nesting allows you to apply multiple HTML tag to a single piece of content. Whenever we use nest an HTML tag inside of another tag, we indent the inner tag so that the overall hierarchy is clear. Take a look at the following example of a well-defined HTML document. Now, if you see here, what do you mean by nesting? Nesting means a tag inside another tag. Okay, now if you see here, title. Okay, there is head, there is HTML. Okay, now you are doing nesting. Why it is called nesting? Because this title is nested within the head is nested within the HTML. Okay, so this kind of structure you define so that the overall hierarchy of a HTML document is maintained. Okay, if you see here, it is written HTML elements can be nested, meaning that one element can be placed inside another element. Okay, now if you see here, title is placed inside head is placed inside HTML. This kind of functionality where you maintain a hierarchy of tags within another tag is known as nesting. Okay, keeping your HTML well indented so that every tag and level of nesting is aligned will make your code easier to read and maintain. Okay, now if you see, what does this HTML document will return? What it will return? It will give the title of that web page as example of indent of text, and in the body or the content of that HTML will become what that content of HTML tag will become. It will become as a body. Okay, HTML attributes are special words which provide additional information about elements or attributes are the modifier of the HTML element. Each element or tag can have attribute which defines the behavior of that element. Attributes should always be applied with start tag. Attributes should always be applied with its name and value pair. Attributes names and values are case sensitive, and it is recommended by this it should be written in lower cases only. You can add multiple attributes in one HTML but needs to give space between the two attributes. Okay, now what are attributes? Attributes are nothing but they are some special words which add additional information of that element. Okay, now each element or tag can have attribute which defines the behavior of that element. You can remember this as attributes are some words which provide additional functionality or the additional behavior to the already existing tag. Okay, it defines the behavior of that element, and attributes should always be applied with a start tag. Okay, and attributes should always be applied with its name and value pair. So every attributes will have name and value pair, and there should be some spaces between the attribute. Okay, attributes name and values are case sensitive. For the attributes there would be name and value pair. This should be case sensitive. That means you cannot write the uppercase attributes in the start tag. Why so? Because here if you see, there is a body like w3 is a body which defines like how HTML should work. Okay, and they define the rules of all the HTML tags, elements and attributes. And they have told like all the attributes should be written in lower cases only. Okay, and there is no limit to adding attributes. You can add multiple attributes on one HTML element, and but only thing is you need to give some spaces between these attributes. Here if you see, this is the syntax of how to add an attribute. You have written an element, then there should be a attribute name and there should be a value. Here it will go the content. If you see here, this is like the functionality of all the elements that you define, right? Now if you see here, this attribute name and value is the additional information that you are providing along with that element. So what are attributes? Attributes are nothing but it will give you some additional information to that element, and these attributes should be written in a lower case. So this is the thing that you need to remember. Okay, HTML elements. An HTML file is made of elements. These elements are responsible for creating web pages and define content in that web page. Element in HTML usually consist of start tag, close tag, tag name, and content inserted between them. Thus we can say an element is a collection of start tag, attribute and end tag content between them. This is important. Why it is important? Because here it is defining what is an HTML element. What is an HTML element? Element is a collection of start tag, attributes, end tag, and then the content between them. So this entire thing, whenever you are making a statement or a line as bold, you will have start tag, right? Then you have within that start tag you will have some attribute, then you have a content, then you have an end tag. So this entire part or the collection of all these things is known as element. Okay, basic structure of HTML document. HTML document is mainly divided into two sections. They are head section and another is the body section. Okay, the head section contains the information about the HTML document. For example, the title of the page, version of HTML, etc. Body, this contains everything you want to display on the web page. Let us now take a look at basic structure of HTML. That is a code that is must for every web page to have. So these two parts are these are the main section of HTML page. What are the main section? One is head, another is the body. Okay, head will give you information about what is the title of the web page, what is the version of the HTML things that you are using, and body will give you what are the content to be displayed. Here if you see, this part is head, this part is head. Why it is head? It is head because it is telling like this is an HTML document, it is having a head. That means it is giving the title of that web page. You can add other tag to it as well, like what is the version of the HTML document that you are writing. And this part is the body. Why it is body? This part is body just because you are telling that this is the content of the web page or the website that you are building. Okay, so everything will come inside the body, and inside this body only you need to write everything. So if you are building a news kind of website, first you will give the title. Okay, this title is would be the title of your like the web page or the news website. And here inside this you will have a headline, you will have a what is the description of that headlines. Okay, everything will come inside the body. So it is the same thing it is telling. There are two main section to it. One is head, another is the body. Okay, this is the explanation. Doc type declaration at the beginning of our page specifies that the document is written in HTML5. In HTML5 the doc type declaration is required. So you have given this one doc type, right? So this will give you the version. Then you have HTML. HTML root element indicates the document has been written in HTML. Whenever you are assigning this HTML, this whatever the content that you are writing would be understood by the web browser as an HTML document. So you need to specify the HTML. This is a must for every HTML file, also known as root element. Now this is the closing tag. We have already seen, right? This is the opening tag, this is the closing tag. And this closing tag, HTML opening tag will mark as this is the beginning of our web page. Closing tag will mark this is the end of the HTML document. Title is also having this. If you see here, title is also having the opening tag and the closing tag. This tag is used to give the title of the web page. The title is displayed in the title bar of the browser window. Okay, where it is displayed? It is displayed in the title bar of the browser window. It is used to end the title. Head tag contains the metadata, title, page, CSS, etc. It is used to end the heading. Now, why this head is used? Head, whenever you are adding any CSS, you need to add it inside the head. So if you want to make this give some kind of color, or you want to add some other functionality or the design kind of thing, cosmetic changes to this web page, then you need to define the CSS. And CSS you can define in multiple ways. One way is to define inside the head. Okay, then you have the body. Body text contains the body of the web page. It is the end of the body. Okay, body means whatever the content of your website will go inside this body element. I hope this is clear. Then you have certain rules for writing HTML code. The following rules must be followed while writing HTML code. Container text should always be closed properly. Tag name should not contain spaces. There should not be any space between this and this tag. Tag must be nested correctly. So everything, every language or everything that you do, so we'll have certain rule, right? Without rule, you cannot define a language. Why you cannot define a language? Because you need to communicate with the web browser, or if you are writing any C programming, then you need to maintain certain rules so that a compiler should understand and process it correctly, right? Similarly, HTML code also follows certain rules. Okay, one is like container tag should always be closed properly. If you are using container tag, like body is a container tag, it is not an empty tag because it is having opening and then the ending tag. So what it is telling? It is telling that container tag will always be closed properly. You need to close whenever you are opening this tag, then you need to close this tag. This is one rule. Tag name should not contain spaces. Like this is the tag name, right? Body is the tag name. So it should not contain space. Like you cannot write B, give some space O, then give some space D, then give some space Y. This page will be rejected by the web browser because you need to maintain certain rules. There should not be any space between this and this tag. Same thing it is telling. tag must be nested correctly. Whenever you are doing the nesting, here you have nested this tag, right? Head you have given here. Now if you give this closing tag of head here, this will not work. Why it will not work? Because head part, body part should not start without closing the head part. That is the reason it will not work. So all these rules you need to follow in order that whatever the document that you are writing should be processed by the web browser properly. Okay. Steps to create a web page: write an HTML code in any HTML editor, save the page with file extension of .html or .htm, open the page in the web browser like this one. This is the step of how to create a web page. Okay, so this is the first web page. Let us create our first web page which will print hello, welcome to the world of HTML. Open this text editor and type the code, save it as first.html. Okay, now let us see if we can do this. I will just give you one example. What is that? Text edit. I went to text edit. Okay, let us see if we can create or not. So initially we'll start with HTML. Then you have given the title. Okay, see here you have head. Within that head you have the title. So similar way you need to follow. Where it went? Inside this head you have the title, and then title you have given. And after head you have the body. Okay, now say I am just giving this. See, indentation it was telling, right? Indentation means to give some hierarchy here, so that it is not required for the web page, but it would make your code readable. That means how it will read. If I write it everything over here, then what will happen? It will be processed by the browser, but whoever is reading this code, it would take some time for him to process, right, what he has written. So I am just adding.
We have to write it in always in sequence way. We cannot write it in serially.
You can write it serially. It would be processed by the web browser. But the thing is, why we have given some indentation? Indentation means to give some space. Why we are giving some spaces? Because if this is like very simple HTML that you are writing, right? Whenever there would be thousands of lines, then if you write it serially, you will not be able to understand it properly, correct?
Yes,
so
sir.
that is the reason we are giving some spaces, and giving spaces will not give any error to the website or the web page, because you can give space within the HTML document. Only thing is, this tag you cannot give this kind of thing, title. Okay, these rules needs to be followed. As long as you are following the rules of any language, that is well and good. You can give some spaces over here, you can give some spaces over here. This is just for readability purpose, so that it would become clear. Okay, so HTML is there, we have written an HTML document here. Then you have the head element. Inside this head element you have the title. I can able to understand it easily now, right? So that is the reason we are giving. So let's see, let's save it in download, say even first try .html. See here, first try .html. So if I see here, or in the file format, I've given this pages.html. okay, and I'm saving it this way. Now if I go to downloads, where I have saved this one, this is our HTML thing. Now if you see here, what it has given, it has given some kind of text over here, right? That means we have done some kind of mistake. That is the reason it is not given it properly. Our purpose was to print this one. This is the first web page, but what it is printing, it is printing the entire thing over here. Correct. So we need to find what is the mistake. See, what is the mistake I have done? Can anyone be able to tell me? By looking this code. So if you see here, right, I have written everything in the small letter. HTML is in the uppercase, but what I have written it in lowercase. Head tag is in small case, but it should be in the uppercase. Okay, so let me change this thing. Head, then we have title, then again I am writing title. Now I have head, then I will give body, then again I will give body, then I will give HTML. Okay, now let me save this one. I have saved it again. Let me refresh this thing. So it is not working. Something might have been wrong still. Okay. I think everything is fine. But something is not working. Let me go over here once again. Okay. No problem, I will just check this part and I will let you know what it is not working here. Okay, and I will give you in the chat as well. So I think this is enough for today. or you guys wanted to continue?
Okay, sir.
This is fine, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you guys. We'll meet up in the next lesson and I will give you the corrected code in our WhatsApp group.